My name is Teddy Jacobson of Actions by T. I am a pistol smith in Sugar Land, Texas. I am a trigger specialist and work on over 100 different models of handgun actions. This tape will be about the truth and reality of carrying a concealed handgun. I will explain in detail all of the details you will be faced with from a practical, a moral, and a legal perspective. You must be certain in your mind that you are willing to accept these guidelines before you carry a handgun on a daily basis. This is a very involved subject, and I'm going to work off a checklist. It's a very big, awesome responsibility to carry a handgun. It's really not fun if you've done it for a long time. Many states now have carry laws. In most all states, you must be 21 years old. Many states now accept other states' concealed carry licenses. You must check with your local authorities about that, usually your state police. For instance, I being here in Texas, if I went to Louisiana, I can still carry my concealed carry handgun using my Texas license because Louisiana accepts it. And the same with Oklahoma. Most of the bordering states here now accept Texas's concealed license. A person that is going to carry a handgun must use clear judgment in a panic situation because they are going to control life and death. Things happen awful quick. I have a carry permit in Texas and in Florida. Accepting the responsibility to carry a concealed handgun, you must have total familiarity with your handgun and your state laws. In Texas, you must have about 12 hours of classroom instruction, and you must shoot a qualifying course, all run by state-certified instructors. In Florida, non-residents can get a concealed carry handgun license. You can do it by mail. You don't have to go to Florida. They issue a non-resident license, which I have. A concealed handgun is just that, meant to be concealed. The first consideration would have to be legal. Are you eligible? Next consideration would be approval by the state. And then the third consideration would be the renewal of the license, whether it be 2, 3, or 4 years. Every state is a little different. Initially, Texas started out with 2 and 4 years. Now they're 4-year renewals, and I believe Florida is 3 years. You must have common sense. You must be able to evaluate a life and death situation. You must be confident and efficient with a handgun. Your life depends on it. I'm going to give you some definitions. I'm going to define a firearm for you. Any device designed, made, or adapted to expel a projectile through a barrel by using the energy generated by an explosion. That defines a firearm. That could be a pistol, a rifle, or a semi-auto pistol, or a revolver, I meant to say. You would have to go, to define a qualified handgun instructor. That's a person who is certified to instruct in the use of handguns by the state police department. And prohibited weapons would include, this is weapons that are not allowed under this license: an explosive weapon, machine gun, silencer, switchblade knife, brass type knuckles. They could be aluminum too, any knuckles. Armor piercing ammunition, chemical dispensing device. We're not talking about pepper. I'll explain that later. Chemical dispensing device is something else. Zip gun, which is a homemade gun. Years ago, many people made zip guns, and it's not all that difficult. They're dangerous, but they're not difficult. Eligibility means we're talking about the average person to be considered eligible. For instance, in the state of Texas, and the others are very similar, must be a legal resident of the state for 6 months, for a 6-month period preceding the date of application. At least 21 years old, as I mentioned before, has not been convicted of a felony, is not a fugitive from justice, is not chemically dependent, is not incapable of sound judgment, is not currently restricted under a court protective order such as a restraining order. You must not suffer from psychiatric disorders. That's just common sense. And also that you are not wanted by another state for a crime. Handgun proficiency requirements include, in Texas, a minimum caliber used to qualify is a .32 caliber. Now, other states may vary a little, but I doubt it. They're pretty close. In other words, if you qualify with a .32, a .380, a 9mm, that's fine. After you qualify, you could carry one of these little North American Arms mini revolvers in your pocket, but you cannot qualify with it. That's what they're saying. You must understand the laws that relate to weapons, to the use of deadly force. Every state is a little bit different. I'll go into that as we talk. Proficiency and safety come first. You must understand your legal grounds of what you can do and what you cannot do, what buildings you can enter and what buildings you cannot enter, even though you have the license. You cannot go into a bar carrying a handgun, even if you have a concealed carry license. You cannot walk into a hospital unless you have that hospital's permission. You cannot go into certain places. And usually it's so stated on the front door. It's always better for a resolution of a dispute to be settled non-violently. There's so many implications involved. You've got to think about this before you decide to pack a gun. It's not that easy. You must learn proper storage for all handguns. If you have a handgun and you come home and you have 4 or 5 kids running around the house,